Hello, everyone. My name is Primetime Moff, and welcome to our podcast only monthly show, Talking Toons, where each month I'm joined by a new special guest. And across two episodes, I discuss tunes and toys from our childhood. In the first episode, you hear from our guest as we talk through multiple shows, toys, and just lots of general chat. Then we follow up with an episode where we let the guest pick a specific show we want to go into more detail on. This is our second episode of the month, bringing back the wonderful KiloK, my good friend Kev, as we explore Teenage Mutant Ninja. I keep saying Ninja Turtles, but it's not. It's Hero Turtles. Thought about the cartoon for the childhood. It's Hero Turtles, surely. So welcome back, Kev. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. It's been a while. How's things?
Very good, very good. I'm looking forward to chatting about this. Just want to get, I'm going to give you but I don't
Yeah.
know if I've told you this. So the aspect of the hero ninja bit, I took Jamie to Leicester Vintage 2 years ago, and we're in, and I'm showing him the toys, and I says, "Oh look, it's TMHT," and he went, "Oh, Dad, it's TMNT," and I went, "Please look at the box," and he was like, "That says Hero Turtles." And I had never, as much as Jamie and I, as much as we enjoy Transformers together, the one of the big shows that we collected together and what toys from, and he absolutely loved was and I think it's always this is my, original. Like so his original was I think it's 2012 Turtles, and he absolutely loved them. So did I. That's my favorite of the modern stuff because I watched it with him. Same as there's a Transformers one called Robots in Disguise. It was his first Transformers cartoon. I have a special love for it because it was the first one I watched with him. But his mind was blown, and I was like, I can't believe I've never told you this. And actually, I have bought a box blimp that says Hero Turtles, and the irony of that blimp box is it says Hero Turtles on the banner, but it's got a picture of the blimp that says Ninja Turtles. Like, there's no way if I'd got that as a kid, I'd have you clicked on that, I'd have just been like, open this up. But so talk to me, why have you chosen Teenage Mutant Hero or Ninja? You can tell me what you prefer.
Well, you can call it what you like. They're both the same. They're both the same show. I always had a soft spot for the Turtles, and I think it was more so that I, rem I we talked earlier on about like my earliest kind of craze that I remember was the real Ghostbusters, and I was like 4 or 5 when I first saw that cartoon. And obviously the movie had come out. I was 2 years old when the movie came out. So I didn't see the film until a few years after it had been released. And then obviously there was the cartoon series. And then I actively remember my dad taking me to see Ghostbusters 2 in the cinema. Whereas Turtles, I was there from the start. Like I remember it from its inception. I don't remember the creation essentially of
No,
Ghostbusters. I do for Turtles, and I think that's why I kind of wanted to focus a bit more on chatting about that. Not taking away my love of all things Ghostbusters, because you know what, I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. Um, but I had 3 cartoons in mind that I kind of wanted to potentially be the guest choice topic for this episode, and out of the 3, Ninja Turtles is the one that I've rewatched most recently. Um, the Obviously one of the other ones was the real Ghostbusters, which you know yourself, I've got the entire run of it on DVD in that cool. I think
the
it's 5
Firehouse.
steel books, and it's in the Firehouse, and it's just the
Mm.
packaging design on it's wicked.
Which
Um,
again, the Turtles has got a beautiful packaging for its full collection.
Not the one I've got. I've got the rubbish
Oh,
one that's just in a
oh,
giant DVD box. That's like
I've got
26 discs or something.
I've
The
got
one
the
that
one
comes
in
in a
the
party
party
wagon.
wagon.
Yeah, which would be
Brilliant.
awesome, but for the price I paid for my set, I'm
And
okay with
is the third one My Little Pony?
it.
I'm not going to explain that
No,
joke. It's an
it
inside
is
joke. It's an
not.
inside joke. It's
It
an
uh,
inside
it
joke.
was
I
it
won't
was
explain it.
Thundercats, which
Oh yeah, yeah,
if you recall, on the journey home from our toy trip
yeah.
last year, I we were talking
Got
about
them.
Thundercats. I don't remember how we got on it, and I was like, I'm not going to see if I can get this if it's had a like. And I was trying to get it on Blu-ray, and the only ones I could find on Blu-ray was one of the newer
Yeah.
variations that you talked about, the newer incarnations of Thundercats, which I had never seen, and I was not really bothered with this. But I found the full classic collection on DVD. I think it was on like 25, 26 pounds or something like that. So I was
It
like,
was
yeah,
some.
buy that.
It was
It was,
so obvious that you like.
and I
It
was
was
like,
so
get
cheap
me
that you
it.
were like, you have to get this.
And so yeah, I got that. So I've got out of those three, I have the full collections of them on like official DVDs now. Remember, you used to get like VCDs that was the equivalent of like recording them off
Oh
the
yeah,
telly
I had
onto a
them.
VHS. Yeah, and we all did. I think I had X-Men and Spider-Man and like loads of cartoons from the olden days on VCDs that were ones that they hadn't had like
Yeah.
an official
Listen,
re-release.
I still got that for Bionic 6 because it's never had a release.
It's
Like
never been, yeah, it's never been brought.
I've
And I
managed to
remember
get
when,
upgrade a lot, but some of them, like Muppet Babies, for example, will never have an official
because of all
release.
the
Yeah,
copyright stuff with the footage of
and
Star Wars
there's
in the cupboards and
yeah,
stuff like that.
and there's other cartoons from the 80s where nobody actually knows who owns the rights. So it's like, how do you release these and
Yeah,
where do you get them? There's some of them that I've heard that the masters are just gone. They don't exist anymore. So
yeah,
thankfully, Turtles, Ghostbusters, Thundercats, I've got copies out there you can get. Sometimes they're out of print and it's not as easy to get some of them, but
yeah. Well,
it is worth picking up.
I did manage to track down the three that I wanted. The first one I got was Ghostbusters, and I had to get that. It was only available to US and Canada, so I got it shipped to one of my aunts in California, and then my mum was going over to visit. And I just said to her, just shove that in your suitcase and bring it home for me, please.
It's
So
definitely one of the coolest
that
box sets.
it's so cool. It's so cool. Because I remember over here they released like what they used to do with the VHS, but instead of like it was 2 episodes, you got maybe 4 or 5 on a
Yeah,
single disc, bare
yeah.
bones
I
DVD
I
release,
think they
and
did
they
the
weren't
first
even.
season of the Ghostbusters, but they've never done any more.
See, the thing is, I don't think that they were like. I think it was just random episodes. I don't even think they were like grouped together from like a two-parter or anything like that. It was just like a collection that they gave a random title to. Whereas Turtles, I remember that they did release a set. It was a black cover with just
Yeah,
the four faces in like a row, almost like choose your character in a
yeah,
video game sort of thing. And I think that was seasons 1 and 2 in a set. It was a 25th anniversary, if I remember right. Um, but
could be.
then
Yeah,
I don't think the rest of them ever came out over here. I know that they got released as standalone season sets in the States, but I don't
yeah.
believe they ever made it to our shores. But then then this set came out and I was like, yeah, give me that. But if I could trade it up for the Party Wagon one, I would in a heartbeat. The problem with the Turtles set, though, the DVD release, the one I've got at least anyway, it's a purple case and it's like just a big chunky thick
Yeah,
DVD
yeah,
case.
seen it,
Like when
seen it.
yeah, and it's like a book with all the
Yeah,
different discs in it. The episodes are in a pure haphazard order in some cases. Like
that happens often, by the way.
you'll have like
Frightening.
because I'm sitting with like IMDb up to go right. What is the actual order I'm going to watch these in? And they've got like the first couple of seasons at least are in the right order, but then on each disc there'll be like a bit bonus episodes, and it'll be like an episode for like season 8. Why is this episode in the set twice? Or when I get to season 8, am I going to have to go back to this disc to watch that episode? It makes no sense. I'm like, what's the point in that? Like, if it's going to be the complete collection, why not just have it in disc
Yeah,
1 to 26 and they're in order? Why
yeah,
are they all over the place? And like I say, does that mean that those episodes are
yeah.
duplicated? Are they all over the place? So it got to the point where I was getting so fed up with it that I just got a subscription to Paramount and started watching it on there
And that's
on
that,
Paramount Plus because I
and
think
again, that's how mental is it? That's dead easy to just actually go and do that. Go and watch that on a streaming service. So simple. When, as you say,
yeah,
when we were,
and it's like a legit one as well. It's not like
yes,
a non-official stream or anything like that. It's actually on there. They only have the first 3 seasons on Paramount though, so when I get to the end of season 3, I'm going to have to
DVD.
go back to my DVDs. But at least I know I can rewatch
Yeah,
the
yeah,
entire run of it,
yeah.
and then I think I'll maybe do Thundercats after that again because I loved that too. But we're not talking about Thundercats today. We're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Um, do you have a favorite episode of the cartoon?
Before I go into a favorite episode, do you know what I remember about Thunder? Guess she's got me doing it. Turtles is it's the first show that I remember it was easy to watch. Like, for me, getting Transformers, it's episodes of Transformers on TV was very rare. Not everything get aired over here. It was really challenging to get. The other ones that I have a fond memory of, very similar. Turtles was the first one that it was just so. Kids' cartoons were so much bigger by that point, but it was just everywhere. Like Turtles was everywhere.
It
Like
was a
it was,
mega craze.
yeah,
It took over the
uh,
world.
it really did. To have a favorite episode, I don't know if I've got a favorite episode. No, I don't. There's just
Okay,
so
well,
much of
one
it.
that sticks in your mind, and maybe not a favorite, but
Rat
one
King,
that a memorable one.
Rat King getting brought in.
Enter the Rat King.
Enter the Rat King was always. I always loved Rat King.
Yeah.
I always like kind of funky villains.
It was like a heel version of the Pied Piper, even though the Pied Piper
Yeah,
was a bit of a
yeah,
heel. But it's basically it was clearly the inspiration for it. But he would command the rats. That was a cool character. I think there's a similar character in the Suicide Squad that
yeah,
controls the rats.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
I
or
wonder which
maybe
one came first.
again, maybe like the things like when they brought the neutrinos in, stuff like that. Always,
Yeah,
and I think it's one of those ones where I couldn't tell you if I could tell you exactly what happens in a single episode, as in like from start to finish, and you
yeah.
then kind of merge bits in. The bits that I loved in the show, like the Technodrome, was just freaking
Technodrome was
awesome,
so cool.
awesome. The kind of wee pods, the wee kind of driller
With the
pods, were
drill
just
things, the transporters, yeah, they were amazing.
just the show just had a real good balance of humor, of
And action,
action,
yeah,
just and it was the all encompassing. Like I remember getting the turtle jelly sweeties. I remember
yeah,
seeing like the turtle slime packets, like the wee tubs. Like
yeah.
I remember getting the turtle figures, the vehicles, the colors on them. Just
I had
you
a pair of
know,
jeans that had like transfers of the turtles on the thighs,
oh
and
wow,
they were so cool. I bought them in a little shop in Hamilton, and I thought I
it's
was like
amazing.
trying to be so cool. I was like, I saw them in the window, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get them. I remember trying to act like pure as if it was really cool, and saying to my mum, saying like, ask the lady what it is you want. I was like, have you got any jeans with turtles on them? I'm going to steal them then, like as if I wasn't bothered, and I was just like inside having a pure meltdown, like yeah, like trying not to show
Oh,
my excitement.
that's
And
amazing.
I also there's one episode that sticks in my head, and I think it's from fairly early on, maybe season two, possibly three, um, and it was where there was like a wee boy. I think his name was Zach, if I remember right, and he was like he had like a green bin lid strapped to his back, and he was dressed up like
Yes.
a turtle,
Yeah.
like as
Yeah.
if it was like a Halloween costume or something
Yep.
like that, like what
Yeah. Yeah.
you would have done if you
Yes.
were going to as them. And I remember even as a child thinking that episode was probably made to like deter kids from going looking for the turtles, like getting
Yes.
trapped in sewer. Because I remember my mum telling me a story like that there was a wee, but your mum always told you these stories to try and make you fall in line and stuff. And she acted as if it was like a kid from around the street, around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
That this had happened to. I was like, if this ever did actually happen, it was probably in America or something like that. Like it didn't happen like 3 streets from where I grew
No.
up.
No.
But she made out that it was like, oh yeah, this like kids going away in the sewers to look for the turtles and getting lost or dying because they get trapped and couldn't get their way out and drowning in the sewers or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then like because of that, like fear factors being stuck in my head, I thought they've made this episode so that there is an actual wee boy that goes looking for the turtles into the sewers and like, but then
But he gets to give help become
like
pals with him, so it
see,
doesn't really
I was
work.
gonna say seeing it like years later, like as a teenager or even like maybe in my 20s or whatever, like rewatching the episode and actually like remembering what the actual story plot
Yeah.
line of the episode was. Yeah, it pure hangs out with him and he gets his own turtle comment on it. I'm like, yeah, that would make me
When it
like, you
works. No.
definitely want to go look for the turtles now. I want a turtle com because that was a thing you never got a toy of, the turtle com,
No.
which blew my mind. Why not? Why did you never get one? Even
Walkie
just like
talkies, like walkie talkies were such a big thing in the 80s. Why not
yeah,
get walkie talkie bears?
that were the turtle coms exactly. I kind of want to touch on something that you mentioned earlier on about how it was one of the shows that was dead easily accessible. Like you could find it to watch it, whereas you said that you kind of struggled to find airings of Transformers on. I mean, back in those days, we had 4 channels in the UK of television, and that was it. And you didn't have a dedicated channel for children or one that just showed cartoons or whatever. Um, See, kids these days they don't know the struggles. But
No, they don't have a clue.
I remember the real Ghostbusters being on like CITV and like it was in the kids shows on, like you'd come home from school
Yeah.
and you would get plonked in front of the TV and you'd it was real Ghostbusters, and then there was like an episode of the Sooty Show, and it was like Dog Tanyan and the Three Musket Hounds, and like, that era of cartoons was all on at the same time. I remember vividly the Ninja Turtles was on Sky, and it was on a program called the DJ Cat Show, and
I've
it was
heard of
like
this.
but
I've never, I don't know who DJ Cat is because I don't have Sky,
it
but
was
I've
like
heard people talk about DJ Cat.
in my head it was a puppet, right? But now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been a dude in a costume, right? That was this host DJ Cat, and it was like an entertainment. Do you remember like Motormouth and things like that? It was
Yeah,
on a Saturday morning. It was like a variety show where they had loads of different stuff with like a wraparound host. So this character DJ Cat was like the wraparound host, and one of the things that on that show was Ninja Turtles. Not the way like Krusty the Clown has
yeah,
a chain scratchy. It was like that, but it was a real thing. And it would, like that's where we would watch Ninja Turtles after school. It was on the DJ Cat show on Sky. Now it's now making me want to go and look up clips on YouTube of DJ Cat to see was it a puppet or was it a guy in a suit? I'm not sure. And then it's going to turn out that it was neither, and it was just an actual cat or something. And I can picture it in my head. I think it was like like one of those puppets like Roland Rat or whatever that was like the hands were a
yeah.
person's hands and gloves, but the head was somebody doing this. Like I reckon that's probably what it was like. But yeah, I'm gonna go and look that up. But that's where I remember watching Turtles every day was on a DJ Cat show because that's where it was. Now you just mentioned there that you didn't have Sky, so you'd never seen DJ Cat, but you've heard people talk about it. But you also said that Turtles was easily accessible for you. So if
Oh
it
yeah.
wasn't DJ Cat, where did you watch it?
See, I don't have the memory that you have or others have. I just remember it being on TV. I couldn't tell what channel it was on. Couldn't tell you if it was the Broom Cupboard or whatever. I just remember being able to watch it so much easier and seeing more of it
Mm.
than earlier shows.
See, I remember having a couple of VHS tapes that came out, and then obviously there was a lot more that came out later on. But the first two that I remember seeing in the shops was when it was a pale blue cover that had that classic picture of the four of them together. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was that picture on the cover, and it was called How It All Began, and it was kind of like the Thundercats hole that we talked
Yeah,
about in
yeah.
the last episode, where it was like a re-editing of several episodes
Yep.
to
Yep.
form like a movie. Although it made a lot less sense because like there's the story arc with the Eye of Sarnoth, where the alien ship crash lands, and you see the red ship crashing in the intro to every episode, and the crystal shatters, and each of the crystals has got a different ability. One it makes things shrink and things like that, and they're
Yeah.
trying to get them back to stop Shredder having the full crystal. But there's like a random bit from that is in How It All Began with no
Yeah.
explanation as to where the crystal came from, which obviously is in the actual episode. But like as a kid, you just didn't care. You were like, yeah, yeah, and
More
you
turtles.
got to see you know, you got to see Splinter as a human, Hamato Yoshi, in Japan, and you saw how Uroku Saki, who would become Shredder, kind of framed him that as if he was going to try and kill the sensei, and then that's why he got banished from Japan and he fled to New York and had to live in the sewers, and then he obviously the origin of the turtles when they were crawling in the ooze, and it was like a origin story. Hence the title, How It All
Yeah, yeah.
Began. I remember actually in that episode, you also got to see Bebop and Rocksteady pre-mutation, which
Yeah.
I had never seen that before.
Yeah.
Having rewatched the
The
first
series.
season, you did see that in the
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Yeah.
Like you actually see the mutation where they bring in the warthog and the rhino, and you
Hmm.
you see Shredder and Krang actually creating Bebop and Rocksteady as mutants essentially, and but I'd never ever seen that before. That How It All Began was where I saw that. The other VHS tape that came out around about the same time was The Case of the Killer Pizzas, and it was the one where there's the prize draw at the new pizza shop, and they fake that the turtles have won it so that they can give them what looks like a meatball on the pizza, but is actually an alien egg from Dimension X. And when I say alien egg, I'll genuinely mean alien
Alien.
because
Yeah.
if you've seen the episode, they were basically xenomorphs, but they were bright yellow.
Yep. Yep.
They were
Yep.
also in a couple of the video games as baddies. That's exactly what they were. They were yellow xenomorphs.
Oh, they were. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that was the other video. There was a second episode on that tape, but I can't for the life of me just now
No,
recall
I
what
couldn't
the
tell you.
episode it was. But the I remember the cover of the tape was the sewer scene,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah. I
was
remember that
yeah
as
the
well. Yeah.
case of the killer pizzas. And I remember I had both of the videos, and then obviously like there would have been more home video releases of it down the line, but I don't think I ever got any more of it on VHS.
So I've
And I
an
wonder if
interest.
they might still be at my mum's house somewhere, those tapes.
Oh, you need to dig them out. I love finding old VHSs. that one of the things I bought when we were on that toy trip was old Ladybird books. Like there's a big nostalgia
Yeah,
for the aspect of the Ladybird books and the VHSs and the old Daniels. I love the old Daniels. They take me back like back to being a kid. So I always
yeah.
like it very much.
Actually, talking of annuals and linking it into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I still have that wonderful gift that you gave me one year. That's the cover, the hard cover of the annual that has a clock built into it. This is a wicked thing because I had that
Is
actual
that
annual
is
that
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 not
covers
also
from.
signed? They're not also signed.
I believe it is. Yeah, I think Townsend and
Yeah,
Coleman signed
yeah.
it.
Townsend
Who's
Coleman
the
is a lovely
voice
fella.
of Michelangelo?
Yes, it was. It was. And I remember. So I met him at. I've met him twice, both at Transformers conventions. And the first time I met him, it was myself and the wife. We weren't married at the time, were we? No, we were married at the time. And we were just walking along, and back then it was one big hall, and the guests would do their interviews in the same hall as the trader bit. We were walking around the trader bit. I hadn't realised he was on the stage, and he just shouted "Cowabunga" in Michelangelo's voice, and it genuinely took me back to being a kid in an instant, and
That would have been
it
amazing.
was surreal. But he also played the tick. So he then shouts spoon, and it was just like, this is so weird. So yeah, I've got my
I remember
Mikey
the
tick.
tick.
Yeah.
Did they not do a movie of that with Patrick Warburton?
Yeah. No, is it
Yeah.
not a live? Is it? I think it's a movie. I think it's a live action TV show.
Or was it a TV
I
show?
think.
I'd
Yeah, I
say
think.
I just remember Patrick Warburton being the tick. But I remember the cartoon as well. And never realised that it was the same actor that was Mikey's voice. The same way I was about 30
I know
when I found
exactly
out
what to say,
Uncle Phil was Shredder. I'm like, so what now?
and
And
it's
now
so surreal because you can't unhear it as soon as you
rewatching it
hear
now,
it.
I'm just like, pure, he's just going to
Of
shout at
course,
Will
it
in a minute, ain't he?
is. But you hear his
Yelling
voice
at
in it. You hear his
Carlton.
inflections. You hear it's very much Uncle Phil, but Uncle Phil, like, talk about two characters that are so different, are so big parts of your childhood. Like Shredder's like
Couldn't
huge,
believe
and
that.
then
Couldn't
yeah.
believe that. Like,
So it's that's an interesting bit now watching back. A lot of the shows the kind of the voice actors kind of you get the same voice actor in multiple shows. So
you notice it
rewatching
more.
yeah, I'm rewatching Dino Riders, and Dino Riders has a character called Rasp, and he's voiced by my favorite voice actor of all time, which is a fella called Chris Latta, who also voiced Starscream. He voiced one in Visionaries called Kravitz. He voiced Cobra Commander. But it's such an iconic kind of sniveling voice. And really works that role of, the ones he plays in Starscream, Kravitz, and Rasp are all kind of like he's a bad guy, but he's like a henchman bad guy, but the kind of top henchman, but he's always just you're not actually very good. You're a pain in my ass kind of bad guy, and he's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I mean, you look back at some of the casts and some of the people, like I always think of like the Transformers movie and the G.I. Joe movie had some amazing voice, like proper recognizable actors as voice actors, but the Uncle Phil
Like
one
James
blew my
Avery being
mind.
Shredder. I would like even I mean, what was Fresh Prince was what early 90s,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So it was a good few years after Turtles.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, I mean, Turtles was probably still on at the time because I think it ran
yeah,
for what 10 seasons or something.
yeah,
Like, it was probably still on. There was a crossover period between
yeah, yeah.
Ninja Turtles
Fresh
and Fresh
Prince.
Prince. So you would be watching both the shows and still never realize that it was the same
No,
voice. Like,
no,
I genuinely, I was at least in my 20s when I found that out, possibly even
yeah.
my 30s when that but a penny dropped, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's Uncle Phil."
So,
The other one that I noticed as well is that I believe the actor's name is Cam Clark, who is the
yep,
voice of Leonardo,
yep,
is also the voice of Rocksteady,
yep,
and like rewatching it as an adult, you could totally tell it's the same guy because there's like, even though it's two different characters, and to give him his due as an actor, he does play two completely different characters with a completely different voice. But knowing that it's the same actor, there is that kind of underlying tone of his real, what I'm assuming is his real speaking voice, that you can tell it's the same person doing two different voices. Like the
yeah,
way when you watch Family Guy and Seth MacFarlane's like half the cast, and you can tell
yeah.
at points that it's the same actor voicing the different characters. Like I never knew that as a kid that Leonardo and Rocksteady were the same actor,
No,
but now that I know that, again, it's like you can't unhear it. I'm like, oh yeah, so it is. You can totally tell it's the same actor. Um,
Yeah, I do that.
and then he does a wonderful job.
What,
I'm not taking anything away from his performances. He's a wonderful job.
I almost watch cartoon speakies and almost try to go, who do I recognise in this now that I'm aware of it more?
Right, I've got a story for you then about voice actors, and this is one of these like really useless pieces of information, but it lives in my head and it will do until the day I'm in the ground, right? So I believe the character was recast at one point, but the original voice of Peter Venkman in the real Ghostbusters was an actor by the name of Lorenzo Music. And you can hear Venkman's voice in your head, right?
Mhm.
Also the voice of Garfield from the cartoons. And if you didn't know that, you'll never be able to unhear that. It's not even that he puts on a different voice; they have the same voice. Like Garfield sounds like Venkman and vice versa, right? So the same actor played the cartoon versions of those two characters.
Okay.
There's live actions versions of those two movies. The
Yep.
live action Peter Venkman is Bill Murray, and the live action Garfield is also Bill Murray. So the same actor plays the two cartoon versions,
That's
and then a
hilarious.
same actor plays the two live action versions of the same two characters.
That's funny.
It's like
That is
useless
funny.
information, but I will never ever forget that fact.
No, no, that's awesome. That is mad. Right, question for you then. Bring it back to turtles.
Go for it,
Everybody has a favorite turtle. Who's your favorite turtle?
Michelangelo. I know yours is Donatello, but you're right. Everybody has a favorite, and I don't know why. It's just there's not any
Yeah.
real reason. I just think
Nobody picks Leonardo, by the way. Don't know anybody that's
and
ever picked Leonardo.
I think just in my head, Mikey was the one that always made me laugh. I always thought he was the funny one. Like
Yeah.
the way he's supposed to be. Like
I think he was the
Raph
one
was the
that
kind of.
Hasbro wanted you to push as being the one. Like he got all the cool lines and all the cool bits. So you
He
can
also
kind of
got
see why.
he also got the cool weapon that we weren't allowed to see in the UK because
Yeah.
it was too ridiculous. Like it was always edited out of even the first live action Turtles
Well,
movie.
see,
The scene where he has
yeah,
the ninja the nunchuck face off with the foot soldier was gone from the
yeah.
UK release of that originally. I mean it's restored now, thankfully. I think I've got at
Whereas
least
I
three.
was dead
I've got
easy.
at least three copies of that film.
I was for Donatello. I just you could find a stick on the ground. I was, I could recreate his weapons very simply.
Well, see,
Um,
that's funny that you mentioned that about recreating the weapons because I remember when we used to play Turtles as a kid, um, and like we would use like one of my pals' mums had these like you might remember it was like a long kind of square comb with like a bit that went in for a little handle. They were the size for Raphael. Those little those combs. That was the weapons.
oh, those are the days. I don't do that now, honestly. Eh, I think it like as we talked, like my number one is always going to be Transformers, and it's an evergreen product that has had a 40 years now of continual new shows, toys, bits. Turtles is probably the second in terms of having that continuation on our shelves. You know,
Yeah,
the other big ones for the 80s, the Masters Universe, anything like Thundercats, they all had time where they went away. Turtles has had so many reinventions. Obviously we know that Turtles kicks off from the comic before it hits the show. And actually, when you read the original comic, you look and go, how did this become a cartoon?
yeah,
Like,
it's a lot darker
yeah,
than
you wouldn't. It's not an automatic. Look at this. Let's make a cartoon that's like this. And but it worked, and it worked really well.
yeah.
But it has had so many. It's had the movies, as you said. They had the original movie. And fun story about the original movie. My aunt brought it back from. She went on a trip to Australia and she brought back a pirated copy of it before it was out in the UK. So I remember telling you this like 2 years ago that it blew my mind that there was a edited version because I had watched the pirated one so many times
Yeah.
that even when I probably saw the UK proper version, I never clicked the fact that there was bits missing
Yeah.
because I'd seen these bits and I'm like,
Well,
that's mad.
so did I,
But
because I was the same kid's mum who I was talking about before with the combs that we used as Raphael's
yeah,
weapons. Uh, they got a pirate copy of it. Like it was probably not as far advanced as you're talking. You're talking maybe 2 3 weeks prior
yeah.
to its UK cinema release. And I remember seeing the poster for the movie, the iconic poster where it's the street with the skyscrapers with the
Yeah,
big block letter logo. It wasn't the same logo as the cartoon, which weirdly they actually did use for the title card
yeah,
in the opening credits. But it was a big block letters logo with the four masked faces peering out from the manhole, that
yeah,
iconic movie poster.
yeah.
And then it had the big red circle that said 18 on it. And I was like, 8. And I was just like, oh, it's an 18, can't go and see it. And I was like, devastated. I was like, there's a Turtles movie, but I can't go to the cinema and see it. Like, that's rubbish. Like, why not?
Well,
It's a cartoon and I've got all the toys. Why is the film not? And then I think because of that, because up to that point, Turtles was aimed at children. Like,
yeah. Well,
that's what it was for.
yeah, yeah,
And like, I get the whole the movie kind of follows more the source material, i.e., those
yeah, yeah.
comics, rather than the cartoon. But there are elements, obviously, that cross
Of
over
course.
between. Um,
Cowabunga.
but
Come
like,
on.
yeah, but like the movie then got edited and
Yeah,
resubmitted to what I believe was the BBFC. I don't know if
yeah,
it's still the film classification board, but at the time I know it was, at least, to get it a PG rating so that parents
yeah.
could take the kids to go and see it. Because otherwise, that movie would have done
Nothing.
very little money,
It, it,
if at
it's
all,
a,
because
it
like
makes no
it
commercial
was.
sense when you think about it. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're looking go
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't
that
make.
that was, but again, that's just because, like, why was it renamed Hero Turtles in the UK?
Yeah,
I don't believe it ever needed to be edited anywhere else except the UK,
no.
to remove all references of nunchucks, which is
Well,
also what they did with the
the only
cartoon.
the only one I know is Germany and France because I've got a German and a French toy box, different ones that have Hero Turtles on it. But
Ah. Well, see, it was because of the nunchucks thing and the word ninja that they weren't allowed to use that. So the film was still called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I remember the song, the Partners in Crime song, Turtle Power. It was like
mhm.
a rap song that came out at the same time that was the unofficial theme song for the movie. There's a
Yeah,
UK edited version of that says Hero Turtles in the lyrics instead of Ninja
I
Turtles.
wonder. I've got the single LP of that. I wonder
See,
what
I
version that
still had
is.
the cassette somewhere, and then later, like years later, I got the CD soundtrack album, and it's the normal Ninja version that's on the CD. But the
That's mad.
cassette, I'm sure, was like
Probably got the
definitely
greatest.
the closing credits for the movie in the UK definitely had Hero
That's
Turtles in
mad.
the chorus, but the like that version I think is dead and gone because it's. But
Yeah,
the scenes where the nunchucks were removed out. So if you remember the climactic rooftop battle with
yeah,
Shredder, and then Splinter comes back to rescue him, and obviously Shredder's made them throw their weapons away, and it made a point of showing you that one of Mikey's nunchucks gets caught on the top of the fire escape
yeah,
ladder, which
yeah,
is then what Splinter uses to catch
yeah,
Shredder's like spear thing,
yeah.
and he holds him above the on the edge of the building. And then Shredder goes to throw a dagger at him, and he lets go of one hand in the nunchucks to catch the dagger, which then causes Shredder to fall into the garbage truck below. In the original UK release of that, he literally just flips over. It's as if he tripped and fell off the building. He just flipped over because they weren't allowed to use that whole
Mad.
sequence relied on the nunchucks, and the nunchucks had to be edited out of it. So it literally is he runs with the spear to get Splinter, and then the next thing you see is he's falling off the building and lands in the bin lorry, and that was it. And I was like as a kid, you're like, well, that makes no sense. Like, but I was the
Yeah.
same as you. I'd seen the real version on a pirate copy weeks before seeing it in the cinema. So I was the same as you. I knew that that, that's different. Like, he doesn't just fall straight off. Like, he was hanging there for a little bit before. But yeah, it was a weird one. The
No,
whole censoring thing for Hero Turtles, and
no, it
as a
was.
kid, I didn't really understand it. And my mum tried to tell me it was something to do with football hooligans. I'm like, what? Why? I thought, okay,
The kind of
whatever.
things that mums make up just to kind
I
of,
know exactly.
oh, shut
Like
up, kid. Let me
I
just
know.
tell you something. Shut you up. Like I do it
So
with my
yeah,
boys, so I can't. I do it with my boys, so I can't say anything.
so yeah,
The
it was something to do with like nunchucks specifically and the usage of the word ninja that they had to edit it out, and there was a lot of time where the like references in the show, like lines of dialogue, were potentially like changed to remove
yeah,
the word ninja or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was a weird one, but still didn't take away from me
What-
absolutely loving it as a kid and
no,
still absolutely loving it as an adult, getting to watch it the way it was intended. I also remember having trading cards.
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
had hero turtles on them. But then when you would do, you were talking in the previous episode about the got need when you would
yeah,
trade
yeah.
them with people on the playground, and like some of them said Ninja Turtles on them,
That's amazing.
and it was like I was like, did somebody bring these back from the holidays or whatever? Like, like well, or because it wasn't like it was from a different set or a different series because they were exactly the same apart from the logo was different. It replaced Hero with
Yeah,
Ninja
yeah,
and vice versa. But like, you go, oh, I need card number 64 and it's such and such a picture. The card was exactly the same. So it, it
yeah.
to me as a kid, it didn't matter what if it said Hero or Ninja. You were trying to collect all the cards. Like whereas now I'd be like, I need both variants.
That's funny. Got quickly finish my wee story with the movie. So the movie, when I had it pirated copy, my first kind of entrepreneurial bit, I rented it out to everybody in my classroom at 50 pence a shot. Um,
I
and
think you told me that before.
I remember telling my mum was impressed, but like, oh my God, did you tell people you had a pirated copy? And I was like, yeah, but I made like this much money, whatever it would have been. And my dad just being like, I think he was more proud of me just having the gall to go, I'm going to go take this and I'm going to sell it to like, I could easily just give it to people, but I'm like, but I'm not giving you a shot. Like, that was
It
the
would run the entire
hottest
school.
ticket. That was the hottest ticket to have that movie.
Especially if you had it like way before it was going to
Yeah,
be released in the
yeah,
cinemas. Probably at that time it still had the 18 certificate on it, so people were thinking they weren't going to
yeah,
get to see it. So
absolutely. And
that was cool.
the Turtles also plays an important part in our friendship. Turtle
Hmm.
figures specifically, and again, kind of movie figures, and interestingly, interesting shredders. Like all these things kind of coincide. So do you want me to tell a story? Do you want to tell a
Yeah,
story?
go ahead. Go ahead.
So we were in our training team, so we'd only been known each other for a very short period of time. And if I tell this wrong, you can correct me. But Kevin was looking to sell some figures, and one of those figures was Super Shredder from Secret of the Ooze, and I prompted him to list it with Kevin Nash, the wrestler's first ever figure, because Kevin Nash plays Super Shredder, and I don't even know if it is his first figure, by the way. I couldn't tell you. I don't know the wrestling figure bits to know if he. I know he never got his Hasbro figure, so it would be a WCW
Yeah,
figure. So I think there's a
there
very,
wasn't a
very
Kevin
good
Nash
chance
WCW one.
that the very first Kevin Nash figure is that Super Shredder figure, and
Yeah,
that prompted you to list it
I
as
believe
that.
I believe that it is. Now I remember when I had that original one and sold it. I seem to recall it was on the standard card with like the normal like cartoony background. It wasn't the
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
star one. So,
yeah.
but I don't, and like I said, I haven't rewatched the entirety of the show. I'm in the process of doing it, but I don't remember Super Shredder being in the cartoon.
However, they
I
had
remember,
Toka and Razor, didn't they,
I
in the
remember
show?
Casey Jones coming into the show a lot later
Yeah,
on because I remember there was a cartoony figure of him as well.
yeah.
Um, but because I've got the movie star like the movie star figures, and I've got I think I've actually got two of the Super Shredder, um, and it's the movie star one, but the figure looks identical to the one that I sold,
Yeah.
20 plus years ago. But yeah, I remember you did, just Kevin Nash's first figure, and I'm like, hey, you're probably right. And again, that was another thing. That was like Uncle Phil moment. You go, what? Diesel was Super Shredder? What
You
do you
don't see
mean?
him. He's behind the mask.
I know,
You
but
don't
like
see him.
when you found that out, you're like,
Oh,
what?
aye. But
Because you don't see Uncle Phil either when
no,
he's voicing
and
a cartoon.
it was when he went to WCW and he's Kevin Nash. That's the only time you found out he was Kevin Nash, not Diesel.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
And it was weird as well because the puppeteer and voice actor for Splinter, his name is Kevin Clash, who is also the voice of Elmo.
oh, that's funny. It's funny.
But yeah, it was like, yeah, Kevin Clash, Kevin Nash, what the hell? Like Kevin Clash sounds more like a wrestler's name.
Yeah, that does. It really does. It really does. So
But yeah, bonkers.
Turtles has continued on with multiple versions of the cartoon. We've had new live action films with Megan Fox and Michael Bay. We've then had more animated movies. So we had one that had one kind of 90s, not the 90s,
Turtles
two
forever.
thousands. Well, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking the kind of CG one. I think
Oh, the
Kevin
TMNT
Smith plays
2000,
plays something in it. I can't remember
2007,
who
I
plays.
think it is.
Yeah,
I
and then
remember
you've
right.
obviously got the more recent
Yeah,
one, but Turtles Forever was what they went
Turtles
back.
Forever is so good.
I think that the best non-original show thing they did, which is cheating because it's got original stuff in it, was Turtles Forever because it brings a little bit of everything in, and that was
Yeah,
the
it's like the 2003 meeting up with the 87. And do you remember that moment? And it was like, you got your initial on your belt buckle? That's
yeah,
awesome. Like
yeah.
pointing out little things that you just took for granted with it. And like, Shredder trying to find his counterpart and realizing that the 80s Shredder's just a pure bungling idiot that's got no capability of doing anything.
That's
Uh,
right, that's right.
but yeah, no, that was awesome. I also remember they did a crossover one that was with Batman, an
Yeah,
animated
yeah.
Turtles and Batman film, which I actually think I have Blu-ray upstairs.
The interesting
Um,
bit is the Turtles loves a bit of crossovers. Like even back in the 80s line, you had your Universal monsters, you had like Star Trek, you had loads. Like
I remember
talking
that they
about toy
did.
lines, talking about like I would like to say I like collected Donatellos. Thankfully, I don't go into the I'm going to collect every Donatello because they released so many versions of those four turtles in the original like run
Yeah,
that
where there
you
was like a Donatello in a Star Trek uniform and stuff like that. I
yeah,
remember that. Um,
yeah.
there was also, I think they've actually done this more than once, but they did a crossover with WWE where they
Yeah,
had
yeah,
like, you know,
I
Leonardo
done.
as John Cena or what. I don't remember what the mix up was. But yeah, that was going to say they've now done the new ones where you've got,
So then
like Roman
I,
Reigns as Shredder and Cody Rhodes as Casey
for
Jones and stuff
for
like that.
those listening won't be able to see, but I do have, funnily enough, like I have my Donatello. So I've got Donatello's
As
Ultimate
Undertaker.
Warrior and Undertaker. So the original ones where there were the turtles dressed as the characters, whereas the kind of newer ones are really nice. To be fair, the Shredder
The
is
wrestlers
Roman Reigns. It's beautiful.
cosplaying as the costumes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the new
It's like
day,
the flip side.
the new day doing the bits. So this is Xavier Woods as Donatello, and the box is just actually beautiful. And I'm
The
sure
the
the
the man the
artwork's
man the
Jeff.
manhole. See if you look at the top of it, the manhole. There's like a little window on the actual top of the
Oh,
front. See it at
yeah,
the top. There's like a wee manhole.
yeah, and this is WWE on it.
It's fab.
So yeah, and I've got like I've got Finn Balor because I love Finn Balor stuff. So I've got Finn Balor. I've got a Macho Man, which is Leonard is Mikey, and then Raph is Sting because Raph Sting's cool. I always wanted to get the Hot Rod crossover, but I never ever got it. But they've done so many crossovers. Like I'm looking around just now, like so I've got a couple. So they've just recently done a Transformers crossover, which was the kind of top of the head can be swapped, so you can actually do all four turtles, or you can do a generic one. Then I
And
brought
does it
some
turn
other
into the
things.
party wagon?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to for the benefit, and I'm not going to try and lift it because it's stuck in. But
And
then they've got like
Turtles of Grayskull.
the Turtles of Grayskull, so I've got a Shredder because it's a Shredder and a Skeletor. They actually have done two, so they've done a Shredder as I don't know who Shredder is, but that's a Skeletor as Shredder. It it's gorgeous. And then I bought a Donatello because it's Donatello and it's Donatello with Man at Arms. They've done so many funky crossovers,
Yeah.
so many funky toys. Universal did modern versus Universal Monsters, and they are. I was with
I
you when I
remember
got
you
my
picking
first
up
one.
at the with the toy fair. You got I
The
think it was a
Raph,
Hunchback.
yeah,
Was it a Hunchback?
yeah. The Hunchback, and I got. Oh, it was because I bought Raph offline, but I bought Hunchback Leo, and it's just the figures, the molding, the new NECA toys, like whether it be the movie ones or be the cartoon ones or these Universal monsters, the NECA's turtles are absolutely incredible. Like they really are.
I've been
You
able
know,
to resist them. I've just got the classic figures, which I've
yeah.
got. This, I know. You don't need to sell me
I'm
on them. I
sure.
know they're amazing, and I've got a couple of the 1990 movie ones that I think NECA released under their Real Toys, like
Right.
REEL label. That's I think you've got the full set of them, and I've got I think Leo and Mikey. I don't have them all. I've only got two of them. But the Shredder from that set, like the movie
Oh,
Shredder's amazing. Whereas there's another thing I talk about the 80s cartoon was developed as a vehicle to sell toys. It
yeah.
was
Oh,
basically a
yes.
half hour
Yes.
long
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
advert for a toy line. But there was so many things
And
wrong with
it
it.
worked
Like
so well because it sold so many.
no, it absolutely did. Like, I mean, if for anyone listening out there that hasn't seen the Toys That Made Us episode on Ninja Turtles, it's fabulous. It's just it goes into the backstory of you talking about how did this really dark comic come to be, this goofy
Yes.
cartoon. that
It's a great
like
show.
it's fantastic. But if you look at that original toy line, the Playmates toys, and even the re-release classics, like why did the turtles not have pupils in their eyes? Their eyes were just pure white. Like none of them ever had pupils. Shredder has no shirt on. He's just got a cape in his bare chest. Like he always had like a tunic kind of thing on in the cartoon. Was it just was he supposed to have a cloth tunic? Yeah, exactly like that. Was he
That's the
supposed?
Super 7 version for those that have
Was
listened.
he?
The Super 7 kind of did. That's where Super 7 do the kind of modern version of the toys. They do, in my opinion, the best modern version of the toys, and NECA do the best modern version of
Yeah.
the stuff on the show.
Yeah. Well, see, I think that like with that Shredder one, I always wondered like, but
Why?
why did the figure not have a shirt on? Was it supposed to be painted
It's
like
so surreal,
his
isn't it?
tunic, or was it supposed to have a cloth shirt? Like the cape was cloth. Was it
Yeah.
supposed to be a cloth shirt that they just didn't produce for some reason, or like I say, was it just supposed to be painted? But he's like pure. No pun intended. He's shredded. He's got like abs for days. Like
It
you
does.
can't imagine if you just painted that, it wouldn't have looked like his costume from the show. But I'm like, all
It's
right.
mental. It's a bit crazy, but yeah, and it's just like the varying qualities. Like I think some of the stuff right in the new movie we watched actually on the toy trip. We watched the
But
newest
Mutant
movie.
Mayhem, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
um,
it. I actually picked up the four turtles from that for a fiver a piece in home bargains, and I couldn't say no to that. That 20 quid for all of them, give me that. And I think
no,
you bought them on the toy trip.
yeah, I did. Well, but I had already had Don Kello before that, but 'cause I kind of try and buy.
You
Turtles is
buy
one where
a
I kind of
Donatello.
have kind of bought. Well, yeah, I generally buy the four main Turtles like every time a new thing comes out. Like post post 2012, post when Jamie kind of came on the scene. Every time there's been the kind of each in the movie, the new movie ones, I bought them. Each of the cartoons, I bought them. The kind of the one that was not the the new current cartoon is based on the newest movie. The one before that, I didn't buy. I bought the Turtles. I bought Donatello, sorry, but I never bought the other ones. Um, Jamie wanted one, and we were going to watch the show together. And we watched the first like two episodes, and we're like, this isn't as good as the 2012 cartoon. I think is a better cartoon than the original. Because same as I don't think Transformers 1984 cartoon is the best cartoon. It's not. It's a cartoon movie. Same as He-Man, the modern He-Man cartoon. There's only been there's been new Netflix one now, but they're both better than the original. Like the
Is that the
80s
one that Kevin
cartoons
Smith
don't
was
hold up.
involved in?
Yeah, they're better storytelling. The 2012 one is a far better cartoon for
See,
storytelling.
I don't have any of the toy line from the that's like the kind of CG Nickelodeon one, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, and the only toys that I have from that are the Lego sets, and I don't have all of them, but I've got that. Like I've got some of the turtles, and I remember having Krang, and he was in these little like bubble walker thing that the original Playmates toy was in, which I
Yeah.
thought was quite cool, like a little kind of throwback. He uses it like once in the cartoon, from what I
I know.
remember, and then he gets his big android body thing, which Playmates never did a toy of, but I know that
No, I
folk
know.
like Super Seven have chucked out a big one, and it's amazing. Um, but yeah, that was. I always liked the music when you fought him in the arcade game, and I never realized until rewatching the show that it's just a sped up version of the song that plays when Krang's on screen, and it's a lot slower in the cartoon, which is why I never twigged that it's the same piece of music. It's just it's way faster because like it's supposed to be like thrilling fight scene in the
Yeah.
game, so the music has to be up tempo, and it's just great.
Well, that's
Like
the
if I
thing.
did,
Look,
if
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think if I did as a, what I do sometimes where you get the new wrestling game and the first thing you do is you create a fictional Fed and you put loads of fictional characters in it. If I did one that had Krang in it, that would be his entrance theme.
That kind of
The
upbeat
music
one.
from the boss fight.
Oh. Well, listen, I think we could talk for more about turtles because we could get into all the kind of different realms of the different
There's
toy
like you say,
lines and
there's so many different iterations of turtles. And there was also that weird live action TV show called The
with
Next
the
Mutation. There was a girl
female
turtle
one.
in it, yeah. And I don't think I ever watched it, but I
No,
think I had it on DVD at one point and didn't
yeah,
watch it. And I don't know if I've still got it.
no.
But
I
it was one
watched.
of these ones you picked up in Poundland just
Yeah,
because, oh, I'm having that.
yeah. I watched it try it and thought, oh, this isn't for me. Um, but I also thought, I'll be honest, I thought that with the third Turtles live action movie the first time, and now I watch back and I really enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's a really
Yeah,
good one.
I think the that kind of initial live action trilogy did depreciate in quality. Like the first one is still my favorite one. I still really enjoy the second one, although you can tell that it's a lot
Yeah,
kiddie friendly, toned down. Because obviously, like the first one was had to be edited and censored to get a UK release. They don't ever use their weapons really in the second one. And then the third one, like they go back to was it 16th century Japan or something like that.
yeah,
But we get Casey Jones back, so it's a trade-off. But yeah,
yeah.
rewatching that film like years later, I did appreciate it a lot more. I think it was, for lack of a better term, a bit boring as a child
Yeah,
to watch that because I was like,
yeah.
this is like been in history class learning about like feudal Japan, and I
It
didn't
is.
really care about any of that.
No,
Whereas watching it and appreciating the kind of storyline of it, um,
but I
the
also
whole
think
time travel gimmick and
you
things.
wanted Krang, you wanted Technodrome, you wanted to be Bob Rocksteady. I wanted Baxter Stockman. I loved Baxter Stockman. I wanted all that in the live actions, and it was like I
Yeah, you
got
never
the
got it.
first film. First film, I was kind of like, it's okay, it's not got it because it's the first film. But you'd expect a sequel to do that, and that's what the modern ones did. You know, they bring in the
Well, I
Bebop and
think the
Rocksteady, and
I remember reading an article or an interview or something like that with Eastman and or Laird about how for the sequel, Secret of the Ooze, they wanted Bebop and Rocksteady, but Eastman and or Laird vetoed it and said, I don't want you to put Bebop and Rocksteady in the film because I think they weren't fans of the characters from the cartoon and
yeah,
didn't
because
want
are they
them
not?
in
Are
the
they
film.
not?
I think they were
They were.
created for the cartoon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and so they were like, no, we don't want you to use those characters. Hence, they created Tokka and Reza as replacement mutants, so that
yeah,
they would still have two villain mutants that were like, morons essentially. Like they made that they
yeah.
were infants and they were stupid and like kind of to play off the whole goofball aspect of Bebop and Rocksteady. Um, but then eventually we get Bebop and Rocksteady in Out of the Shadows, like the years later what I refer to as the CG movies, like
Hmm.
not the fully CG, but the
Yeah,
CG
yeah.
Turtles and CG Mutants, and obviously tying back into the crossover with WWE, Sheamus plays Rocksteady,
It does. It does. It does.
and
But yes,
it's weird you were talking there about the crossover with Turtles and WWE, and then the Turtles with Masters of the Universe. There's also Masters of the WWE Universe.
there is. There is
they're all
crossovers.
intermingling.
But yeah, I don't know if anything that crossed over as much as Turtles did. Like it's had so many different crossovers with so many different things. Like there's so many. Like Transformers, for example, just can I give an example? It only this year has started to kind of do like Hot Wheels and different other bits. It's always just been Hasbro's main. It's kept its own stuff, whereas Turtles has been on like loads of bits. There's Turtles Hot Wheels. There's Turtles Skeletrix. There was Turtles. You know, there's mental amount of stuff. The sheer you could do a 5 hour episode covering Turtles merchandise over the years. Like there's just so much of it from the original stuff, the toy line itself, the volume of toys is frightening, like
Yeah,
absolutely frightening. There's so many different versions of each of the turtles. You've got them in so many different gear, basketball,
I was
surfing,
going to
and
say there
all
was like
these things.
sports ones, like the soccer referee and like you say, the basketball player and surfing ones. I also remember once from when I was a kid that they were in like a weird half crouch pose, and you could fold them forward, almost like a yoga move, and then they had like a spring loaded thing, and they would do a backflip.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
There
those?
was there was the ones that transformed. Like they're
Yeah,
just
the mutation ones. They were
so
cool. I
many,
had a couple of them when I was a kid. I think they
so
did
many.
reissues of a
Yeah, I've got two of
few of
them.
them.
Got two issues. But I think that just the turtles. There was so much desire for the turtles. It was like I need to have a turtle, and it's like
It
I
was
need
a
to have
total
this one.
cash
I need to
cow,
have this one.
and to be fair, it still is
Oh,
a
it was.
cash cow.
It is. It is. And yeah, we talked before. I can't remember if it was on the last episode or just working a preamble that you know when I look at it and go like the Masters Universe Origins are taking the original figures but making them articulated, giving you the articulation you'd want as a kid because you wanted to do all the poses. The Transformers have done that this year with a series called Missing Link, where they took Optimus Prime, the G1 Optimus Prime, gave him articulation, and then we've not got them out here over in the UK yet, but they've done a 40th anniversary version of the original four Turtles figures with articulation and also real turtle skin, which is weird. Like it looks weird. I'm really curious to see that in hand
It's
if they didn't
see,
play that.
when I heard about that, the whole skin thing, I just likened it to the. Is it just going to be like what the movie star figures look like, the
Yeah,
Playmates movie
yeah.
stars?
I thought that as well.
They rather than the looking like the cartoons, it looks like the guys in the costumes. Like, is
Yeah.
it going to be that sort of material, that kind of rubberized stuff? But yeah, like you say that. I mean, Playmates did re-release a lot of the original line, and
Mhm.
just which, to be fair, A, the nostalgia will kick in because it's so old now. So other people that grew up watching it are now toy collectors. Well, a lot of them are, and will happily spend money on getting back things from their childhood. They're just
Me.
remade from the existing molds. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like they had to get someone in to design a new line of toys. They just put all the old ones out again and
However,
re-lapped them up.
however,
But
however, we've talked about this beforehand. That one of the things that I was trying to organise for Kevin and I at one point was they did a website that went bust. I lost my deposit. Was doing the set of the four turtles, the reissue party wagon, and the reissue blimp for a very good price. And I was like, you, I don't need the turtles. Do you want the turtles? I want the blimp and the party wagon. Um, I've never had the party wagon, so I really wanted the party wagon. I have for my 30th birthday. My wonderful wife bought me a Turtles Blimp 2, which is the better one in my opinion. It looks more like a cartoon, but the new the original one. I thought I want that. The box art is the exact same as the original one. Definitely want that. I've got the party wagon reissue now, and it's the exact same. But it turned out that the reissue blimp was actually the 2012 Playmates blimp, but repainted to be the original. And then it's turning out that similar is happening with the Technodrome. That the Technodrome, it's not similar, but it's not the exact same reissue. So they've not reused the same mold. They've made a slightly smaller version of it. So it's interesting to see that we're automatically going, oh, they're just not cash cowing, but they're cashing in and they've got the option of these old molds and bringing them out. But actually, they must be going back and making new versions of the molds
well,
to allow
the,
them to releases.
well, that's kind of what I was leading to, was that you mentioned there about the sort of remasters, if you will, of the original figures, with like you were talking about the He-Man and stuff, where they've got like the articulation that you wish they had in the 80s and 90s. The it's based on the same figure, but it now has movable knee joints and stuff like that they wouldn't have had before. That they're doing that with the Turtles, so that it's, yes, they've reissued the essentially the original Playmates figures, and then obviously the ones with the storage shells and then the movie stars and things like that. But now they're going to reissue. Well, they're not reissues really; they're reimaginings, I suppose, or
Mm-hmm.
remasters with the added articulation, and they will look different and probably better
Yeah,
than the original one. Like I said, they didn't have pupils in their eyes and stuff like that. Like I can't wait for those. I think they're going to be amazing.
agree, agree. I mean, you're not going to open it to experience them. You just have to wait, come play with them at my house,
That's
which
fine.
is always a joy. That
This is
you know,
this is
a lot
this
of
is
times
why
you're like,
this is why we're friends, mate.
you just got to play with my toys.
Yeah.
But
This is why you have kids and I don't have kids, because I'd be like, no, you can't have that. I want it.
no, no,
Or I'd be
no.
like, I'd need to buy three of everything, one for me, one for the kid, and one to stay on a shelf and never be opened.
I've done that. I've done that at points. Like I have bought things, duplicates of things, so I can keep some boxes. Some stuff, some of the packaging is absolutely fantastic, and you kind of like
Like the
all.
re
I buy all my reissue, like Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, the Fright features, the Turtles figures, the movie figures. I've kept all them carded because they're
it's the
in the
nostalgia
nicest
of it.
way. The toys are not amazing, like
Yeah.
in comparison to modern day toys,
Yeah.
but they just look so good on the
Well,
card.
see,
Or
I
like
didn't,
things like the Turtles of Grayskull that was shown Kev earlier on. I have no desire to have them out because I don't need the
but
collection, but they're kind of funky
that's,
packaging
I
and
mean, to be fair,
boxes and
that looks like a Masters of the Universe figure
yes,
rather than a
yeah,
Turtles figure,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
cool. But I mean, I didn't pick up any of the reissues of Fright features because I've got the originals
yeah,
mint on card. I've got the full set of them, and I think the only reissue of the original heroes I've got is Winston, because I've got the rest of them, all
yeah,
the originals mint on card. I've actually got an unpunched Venkman, which is like ridiculously rare, especially nowadays.
yeah.
And this was like I've had it for over 20 years. I bought it donks ago, um, and it's in storage in my loft somewhere because none of my Ghostbuster stuff really is on display. Um, but yeah, there's that's another problem with collecting is lack of real estate to put things on display. Like I've got storage stubs upon storage stubs in my loft of things that I tell myself these lies that I'll rotate things in and out on display.
Oh, I
I'll never do that.
no, no,
That'll be up there for life. By the time I
I
move
have
house and have to bring it down.
I've converted my garage to be my final proper toy space, and I thought that'll be me. I'll get everything out, and
You've run out of
like
room already.
you, it's
Run out of
and
space
it's
already.
and I've not opened everything. It's the worst bit is I've probably bought new things. We'll not put this in now. There are things that I've brought out of storage that have actually never been on display. That I've never had space to display them. That I now have proper space to display. But there's so much still in the in boxes. But now I'm in the right. If I'm not going to bring it out now, I'm never bringing it out. Do I just want to own it to know I've got it? Because there's a big bit of that
I see.
collecting that
I'm the
own it
same.
just to own it.
There's a lot of things I've got that I've never been on display, and like I've got them, and they've literally went. They've they've been pictures taken, put on my Instagram, into storage, and it'll be in a storage tub in the loft, and it's things that I've literally never had on display.
I don't do that so much
But
now.
I know that
More
I
I
have
used to
it.
do
It's
it.
there. It's in
Yeah,
my collection. I know I've got it.
yeah. There has been bits where that I have certainly done that in the past. I don't do it so much to it now. If I can't put it into collection, I kind of go, why have I got it? What am I doing with it? But I've already tweaked my collection in my space. I've got space for another set of shelves at some point in here, but I'm waiting till I know what I want to put them on them. Like I've got one shelf out on my shelves I've got just now that I've just kind of got boxes on because I'm like, I don't know what to do, don't know where I want to go. But the joy I have is I have Turtles out in display now. I have my Power Rangers small collection out. I've got my GI Joe. I've got my all my big ticket things that I've wanted to have on display. I now have, and it's such a joy. The Turtles certainly has one of the bigger real estates in the collection. My Transformers has got a room to itself, which is crazy. Then it's He-Man, and then Turtles is the next on the quantity scale, and that's only because if I didn't limit myself just to kind of main turtles for most, definitely Donatello's from everyone I can get. Like I buy just random things of Donatello's, like just because. But there's just so much you could buy. There's so many. I don't have very. I've only got the four turtles in the kind of reissue ones from the
Yeah,
original. But
things like that though, like you say, with there's so many. Like I mean, you couldn't count how many variations of Donatello you have
no,
because there's so many different like iterations of just that single character. Never mind his three brothers and then all the other characters. But we're in some senses we are spoiled as collectors these days with the sheer variety of products that are out there and things that are available. And it's there would have been a point in time where when these things were like £3-4 Woolworths or whatever, you, with the salary of today, you could have easily bought them all and had them all. Now you're having to sacrifice one thing in order to collect another because you don't have the money or the space to do both, and that's the sort of downside of being a collector in this age.
it certainly is. Well, listen, it's been an absolute joy. It's made me look at my turtle collection and think there's a couple of things actually I'm missing in it, and that I want to pick up and go back and try and grab. But
Is one of them a movie star
it's
Super
just,
Shredder? Because I'm pretty sure I've got two of them.
is that the new ones they did? No, they
It's like
did the
the
reissue. They did
yeah
reissues of the Super Show. Yeah,
yeah.
I tried to pick that up and I never got a chance to. So if you've got a spare, I will
I
absolutely take
think
one.
I've got. There's definitely one of the movie stars I've got two of, and I'm pretty sure it's Shredder. But I will double check, and I will
That would
see
be
if I've
awesome.
got one.
Yeah. But thank you so much. It has been an absolute joy over the two episodes, and I will absolutely bring you back because I think there's so much more we could talk about. As I say in the first one, we never really talked about the cartoons that much. We talked more about toys, but that's probably more what we are invested in. And I think when we do a toy trip, we'll do a little bit of a vlog around it. We'll do a kind of catch up after. But thank you so much. I'll give you a chance again to tell people where they can find you and see pictures of your wonderful toys that you're
Yeah.
picking up.
Well, yeah. You can find me at Real Kilo K, all one word, on Instagram. That's Kilo K is KILOKAY. with just the word real before it. And yeah, and let me just say thank you for having me, Moff. It's been a pleasure getting to shoot the shit with you and talk all things toys and tunes. It's been fun, and I will definitely accept any invitation for a future guest appearance on your wonderful little show. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you for having me.
Maybe you can come and interview me and let me talk about my toy collection because people keep asking me to do a wee something, talk about my collection, and I'm like, you don't really want to know how what goes on in my brain for
Yeah,
the
I don't
people
envy
watch.
trying to edit that together. It'll be like up here. Have you got 20 hours to listen to one episode?
I
Because I mean, we're saying that jokingly, but we literally could talk about this
know.
stuff for
Okay.
hours and hours and hours,
Okay.
and
We
we have
literally
done
we went
many
for five.
times.
Yeah, we went a 5 day trip and we never got bored of talking about stuff for 5 days. So,
And
uh,
we still had stuff to talk about on the way home.
I know, I know.
Keep us
So
awake in that long ass drive.
thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast only show. And if you do, remember, check out our regular content on YouTube at PTTV, where we have our weekly main episodes. We're adding a lot more shorts on as well, which have been really popular. And there'll be more content coming on as we go. But thank you very much to my guest. And thank you to all my listeners. And we'll see you again soon.